Hey, and welcome back to Hustle to Harmony. Today we have a really super cool guest. Her name is Bryn Brown. She's a business and human design coach for spiritual entrepreneurs, lightworkers, and soulful creatives. And if you guys know anything about me, you know how much I love human design. Bryn is a former corporate sales and marketing leader. She's a 5/1 projector, and she helps service-based business owners align their strategy with their energy for sustainable growth. So we have a lot in common because I do the same, just in a different modality. Through her signature blend of human design and energetic mastery for business, Bryn teaches you how to build a profitable, soul-led business that reflects your true essence without any of the burnout or the cookie cutter formulas. So you can see why I'm excited to have her here today. Thank you so much for joining us and having this really cool conversation.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm so glad we connected.
Yeah, me too. Did I miss anything? Is there anything that you want to add?
No, I always hear the bios and I'm like, wow, that sounds so good. She sounds so professional. Who is that?
So what's really cool is that we're both 5/1 projectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it. The build a business without burnout is all about being a projector in the first place.
It's so interesting too, because in human design, we have so many layers of archetypes. So we can look at it and be like, oh my gosh, we're both projectors. There was going to be things that we can really relate to each other on. We're both 5/1s. There's definitely things we're going to be able to relate on. And then there's all of these different aspects where it's like, oh, but this is going to show up so different. And then of course, what you can't see in the human design chart, which is your soul expression and your karma. I mean, we can see some things that might be themes, but it comes out in such different ways. But it's really cool to have those moments of like, oh, you know what it means to be projected on as a 5 line. Like, you know what it means to have that 1 line rabbit hole, or to be conditioned to be the best student ever and do everything exactly the way you're told because you're a projector and that's what we're taught, you know?
Right.
So I know that there's a lot that we can relate to.
Yeah, definitely the rabbit hole. I am the rabbit hole queen.
I love a good rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I lost many hours to rabbit holes that were pointless, to be completely honest.
Yes and no. I feel like they find their way. They weave in somewhere where you're like, I actually know something about that, you know, whether it's in a random conversation in a restaurant or with a client, you never know.
Yeah, that's very true. Very cool. So tell us a little bit about your work with clients and how you incorporate human design and energy and all that kind of stuff to kind of help them kind of be, even if it's a generator, right? Help them understand like you don't have to go all the time. And part of your go can be rest.
Yeah. Well, so like I said, or like you said, I guess, I'm a former corporate professional. So I was in sales and marketing for about 20 years in corporate. And I intentionally worked for small companies because it gave me a lot of touch points within the business in terms of understanding how to grow. And also I just wanted that more personal experience than working for a big corporation and feeling lost. And so in my experience, I've done everything from slinging T-shirts at festivals and events to managing multi-million-dollar donations for an international nonprofit. So I have the breadth of selling, and then within that, how do we position and market and message ourselves? So I took all of that. That comes very easy to me by nature. My brain just kind of works that way with strategy. And so many years ago, I think it's close to 10 years now, I started down this coaching rabbit hole is what it felt like in the beginning of, hey, I think I can do that. And I was doing it on the side, and certainly being the best student ever and learning how are people building these online businesses, because that's not necessarily the way I learned to build a business specifically online, but it came very easy to me. And I actually came into coaching as a manifest your soulmate love coach. And very quickly that transitioned because I was meeting all of these other coaches in my training programs and different circles and networking. And they were like, yeah, we get the coaching piece. How do you build a business? How do you get clients? And I'm like, oh, no, that part's easy. You can learn that. Right. So I did that for many years, business coaching, without incorporating human design. And what I found is, as a projector, we have this really beautiful gift of, and it can come in any aura type, can have intuition and can read people and can see these things. For projectors, it comes very, very easily to be able to sort of see the unseen. And for me, it became, it's a little bit of a process. Yes, I could see this, but you work with people for a while. When I came to human design, it gave me the blueprint, the map that I could say, oh, yes, we were going to figure this out at some point, but now we can just shortcut and start to see this from the get-go, where the conditioning might be, where your strengths are, what we can leverage, which energy is going to attract clients to you best, how we can amplify these specific energies. And then more importantly, start to really feel into your own personal rhythm of what works best for you to keep you in creative mode and lit up and excited about your work. And I've been a spiritual junkie since I was, listen, my mom's a witch. I grew up in this house of just, whatever goes and find your path. And sure, yeah, that might, be real. And a lot of interest in the metaphysical. So I've been this sort of spiritual student since I was probably about 12 or so is when I really started kind of getting into it. And I can tell you, I firmly believe that human design is the fastest and best shortcut, specifically in business, for getting where you want to go. So that's what I do now. It's like we take the chart, we take what you also know about yourself that may or may not be reflected in the chart. We take spiritual and energetic principles, and we sort of bring them all together through this lens of, okay, here's all the strategies available to us. Here are the ways that people say you maybe, quote, should or shouldn't do them. But then we're going to bring in you, the whole of you and your energetics, to start to implement in a way that is really aligned with how you operate. And by doing that, we accelerate all of your results because you're not bringing in friction and obstacles where they would otherwise come. That hopefully encompasses it.
Yeah, that's perfect. The first time I ever had my human design chart read to me, I was like, oh, so much makes sense now. This is great. And then things that didn't make sense, I was like, no, that's not me. She's like, we're going to have to see where that came out of alignment for you. And I was like, oh, because my throat chakra is defined, and I was never speaking, never on camera, never talking, never anything. And I was always taught as a child, you're seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. So I started kind of slowly putting myself out there, and now half the time you can't get me to shut up. I'm like, this is amazing. Just let's keep talking.
Make up for lost
I've spoken on stages. I do lives. I do trainings. I clearly have a podcast. Like, I don't care. I'll talk forever. And it feels so good. And it's like, oh man, this is a piece that was missing, right? So then it makes you want to like dig deeper. Like, what else was out of alignment? How do I see how I can bring that in to be more of who I am? I think of human design as like a giant permission slip, right? Mm-hmm. Like where you don't know what you don't know, and then you're like, oh, this is me. I'm allowed to be me. So great.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That I think validation is the word that I hear most often. It feels so validating when you come to human design, and it's like, I knew that to be true about myself, but you feel it in a different way. It's just that more validated, like, oh yes, now I have permission to actually show up in that way. I don't have to doubt or question anymore, unless that's part of the design.
Yeah. I remember one of my very first business coaches would tell people that had like two passions. She would tell them, pick one. You can't do both, right? Like one would want to start a podcast, and the other one, and would also want to be a podcast manager. She's like, well, you can't do both. And it turns out that they very much could do both, and they thrive doing both. Yeah. So it's a marker for me. Whenever I'm looking for somebody, you have to know human design. Yeah. Because if you don't, you're not for me. Yeah. You're just not. Yeah.
It changes everything to have someone just being human design informed, especially as a coach, to hold space and to really understand, how you're making decisions, with your authority. I mean, you have emotional authority, giving you the time and the space to feel things, helping you identify, maybe name your feelings or kind of move through them versus, the worst is being an emotional authority and going on a sales call with a coach or with a practitioner of some sort. And it's like, you make the decision now, fast action bonus, this pressure that comes in and we can look at other things in the chart. You're going to be feeling that with an undefined root center, for example. But not getting the space, for me, I'm a mental authority. And so I need the sounding board. So to have someone that's like, do it this way, telling me what to do rather than allowing me to talk through things is really going to be counterintuitive. And I have certainly run into that. I know for myself of, making decisions like, oh yeah, they just told me, and so I'm going to do it. I'm sure you've had those moments of, I'm in that emotional high. I'm going to make this decision in this moment, and then feeling that buyer's remorse or whatever. But in implementation, especially, I think anytime you're working in the business world, it's like, a strategy is just a framework. How you move through that strategy and fit it into your business. Business is changing. Collectively, right? And through human design, we can see this 2027 shift, and that's a whole conversation we may or may not get into, but collectively we're evolving as a species and doing things in a way just because that's how they've always been done, or because somebody one time said this would make a whole slew of really great factory workers, doesn't mean that that's how we should be doing things moving forward, right? So we're really moving into this new paradigm of having to show up as our whole selves. And to be honest, if you're a business owner and you're selling, if you're trying to sell in a way that someone taught you versus the way that feels natural to you, it ain't going to work. Right. It's not going to work.
Yeah. A lot of business coaches that I've had have told me the Facebook group strategy.
Oh,
where you have a Facebook group and then you go into other Facebook groups and you do this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, oh, I don't like commenting and asking people to get in the DMs like that. That hurts me to do it. Like, I don't like it at all. And it's like, what else can I do? And it's like, no, this is the strategy. This is what works. And I'm like, girl, this is what works for you. This doesn't work for me. Crickets every time. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it's different. It's different for everybody. And the coolest thing that I found, I think, and it's the simplest thing that anybody that has a chart can look and see, is the arrows at the top.
Oh, your variables. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't remember which one it was, but one of them, I don't know where mine point, but one of them, like, depending on the direction it points, it's like you're either really, really good at at a desk in the same spot all the time, or you're really good, like, go to a coffee shop, sit in a little bit of chaos, and you could be able to get work done. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm the coffee shop one. I can work anywhere but my desk 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. So looking at your chart, because I have it here, there's a couple things going on. One is you have a split. So a split is sort of like, when we're looking at the chart, if you're unfamiliar, you see all these like colors, and then some places are not colored in. The places that are colored are called defined. And that means that these centers, these chakras essentially are talking to each other, and they're having a conversation in a room. And when you have any kind of a split, you might have multiple conversations going on, but they're not necessarily talking to each other. So hooking up, and I like to think of it like a circuit board. It's like you hook up to somebody else's energy, whether that's an individual. And in your case, it's a small split. And it can easily be bridged by one person, or going to the coffee shop, right? That's really interesting. But to speak to the variables, you have a kitchen's environment, which like needs to be cooking up things, and you need to be with people and ideas, and it's like you're putting your flavor in everything. So it's really important that you spend time with other people. And I know it's easy to say, oh, as a projector, you're just supposed to be one-on-one. And that's not always necessarily true either.
Yeah. That was when I heard that I was a projector and I like a lot of alone time and downtime, like, yeah, but I also need to be around a lot of people often.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stay in my house all the time and just be by myself. So that's pretty cool. That's cool you brought that out.
You also have 2 leadership channels. And when you're looking at that, it's kind of like, and the sales channel. I mean, you have 5 different channels defined, but having 2 leadership channels, like, you can't lead without other people.
Yeah.
So yes, by design, we want you and your 5 line, we want you teaching based on information that you know, and based on your way of making it super approachable and relatable and practical. This is the 5 line, right? All rooted in that information. So yes, we're humans. at the end of the day. We're all designed to be with people.
Yeah, that's so true.
To some degree.
No, I was trying to figure out how I was going to say this next. And I know not everybody that listens is strictly online, right? But for those of us that do have online-based businesses, that's a big thing to know. I always talk about how I miss the water cooler. We didn't actually have a water cooler at my job when I worked in the 9 to 5. But for like the first half an hour of every day, I would just walk around and talk to people. Yes. It's like, how was your night? What'd you do? What are you doing today? Like, what's going on? Like, that was like a big part of my day. And then having lunch with my coworkers and then walking out together, like whatever, like I had people all the time. And then I started my own business and I'm like staring at my family.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Like, I love you guys, but
hard.
yeah.
I love them so much. So now I spend a lot of time, if there's networking meetings everywhere, and a lot of them are free, and like 2 times, 3 times a week, I'm going out to networking meetings just to talk to other people because
Beautiful.
I have to.
Yeah. 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 And it's like really honoring what works well for your energy. For me, that is so draining. And I'm like, oh my God, they're beneficial. Sure. Yeah. To some degree. But it's so interesting how I find in my business, I gain more traction when I am being social for other reasons, because it's filling my cup in other ways and feeling like play. So I have a passion project where I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit here in my local community. And that is where I get like my socialization and my time out and about and in the 4 walls and in the physical space, moving physical product. Even though I don't do that in my business, it sort of charges up my energy so that when I come back to the business, it's like I'm fueled and I'm ready to go. So it's really interesting. And again, it's understanding these dynamics. And part of that, I think, is just knowing myself, being now in my 40s, you kind of like know what works more for you. And we're more sure of ourselves, I think, as women, and in particular by this age. But other pieces are really reinforced where I think it would be easy to kind of overlook some of that energetic nuance, but seeing it reflected in the chart, then that's where the shortcut comes in, it's like, oh, okay, there it is. Let's not ignore this piece, Yeah.
Yeah. So I had, before this, a friend of mine and I had a mastermind together, and it was all about play. It was helping entrepreneurs take time aside every single day and do something for themselves. Yeah. But the entire mastermind was based around that. And it was such a good time. We had a business coach at the time. So my partner was human design certified. And we had a business coach who was also human design certified, of course. And she read my chart and she goes, oh, you're supposed to be a writer. You're creative and you have all this other stuff going on. And like, you need to lean into that more. And I'm like, but we're doing this. I'm like, and I really like this. So you're giving me the wrong advice. And I understand like creative and writing and all that is a part of my chart. But it was kind of like very, very like one or the other when she said it. And I was like, no, this is also aligned.
Yeah.
So it's funny how some people, I guess, interpret with their own needs, wants, desires as well. And then we can do the same kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, and it is interesting too, when you're getting a chart reading, it's so helpful to have it done by multiple people. I think I heard one time you should always have at least one chart reading by someone of your own type and one by a projector. And I thought that was really brilliant advice at least as a starting point. And depending on your budget and timing and all of those things, follow your strategy and authority, as we say. But having multiple readings can be so helpful when you're coming to the system, just to kind of wrap your mind around the way that you interpret it. But I could see how, you have in your unconscious Mercury, you have gate 1, which is the gate of self-expression. That's the creative. It's literally the most creative energy in the entire chart. This is my sun energy. But it's about being so uniquely you for no other reason than it just feels good to be yourself. Having that with your Mercury, by the way, in the conscious side, gate 49, the gate of revolution, this is like energy of like you being yourself, but also changing the paradigm, creating systemic change, really revolutionizing, even if it's just one person's sort of perspective on things. That can be done through writing, right? That can be done through podcasting. That can be done through showing up and teaching a workshop on something completely different. So it's hard to box that in. And of course, this is me, my whole thing, my incarnation cross of defiance. So we're not doing things by status quo just because that's BS, right? So I would look at that and I could see how someone might say, maybe that's where they were looking. I don't know, but I could suspect they say, oh, marketing, or excuse me, Mercury, that's right. Let's be a writer. But creative expression comes in so many different ways. And that's large part of what I do with clients is like figuring out, I mean, my sun gate is in gate 1, the creative. And I literally told myself and everyone else, I'm not a creative person for decades because my definition of creative was skewed to writing or painting, right? But now understanding it comes out in so many different beautiful ways. What does that mean for you? And then how can we be strategic about leveraging your creativity? So for example, I have a client, she's adult diagnosed autistic and certainly experiences a lot of what we call neurodivergence. And she is so brilliant. And she's like, I just have all of these different ways that I want to put my work out in the world. And I'm like, great. So instead of saying, buying into the story of like, you got to pick one path or maybe pick a couple or find a way to connect, I'm like, let's just make an umbrella, right? And maybe you are the umbrella. Maybe you and your brand is the umbrella and you have these interests, and let's just find a category. Maybe one category is things you find fun. Maybe another category is tech that you love to use, right? And then we just kind of put them in the category and then fit them under this umbrella or a library, if you will, right? And then we can be strategic about saying, hey, this I did for fun, but by the way, this tech thing worked. Let's use an affiliate link, right? We can put our business hat on and make it work. But we're not boxing ourselves into any one way of having to creatively express ourselves. I think that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I agree.
Soapbox.
Yeah. So I think, let's see, AI is kind of destroying our personalities. Honestly, there's research coming out that people don't think the same. They don't behave the same. Even method actors have. Jim Carrey just did a documentary on it as well, but they get stuck in the method of who they were, and now they can't distinguish both of them. So people are spending so much time with AI, having AI write all of their stuff, and then having AI go through it. Number one, they're not remembering any of the things that comes out afterwards because they're not using their brain. And number two, now they're getting caught in like, oh, this sounds really good, this must be me, and we're removing our own personalities from everything. So human design, to me, is going to help people kind of come back to who they actually are. And I don't want to say like, don't use AI at all, because it's super helpful and I use it in my business. But again, have permission to have your own personality.
Yeah.
Right? Figure out who you actually are. If we forget, right? Because part of the thing that I did in my last business was helping women remember who they were and what they enjoyed. Because all of a sudden we're moms, we're wives, we're business owners, and it's like, I don't even know what to do anymore to have fun. I don't even know what I like anymore. And we look at your human design chart and we look at things that you did when you were a teenager and we say, hey, let's see if any of these things still resonate with you, right? And how in alignment with who you were and who you are now are they still? So I think human design is a big part of helping people see their own personality and who they are, and then kind of starting to infuse that again back into their marketing. Because as soon as I see or hear something that sounds similar, I'm scrolling past it anymore. Like I want nothing to do with all of the AI generated anything. It's like, it's not funny to me. I want to see real people with no makeup on, like, and their hair a mess. Like, I don't care. Like, I want to see you. Like, I miss like real people. So if someone's looking at their chart, aside from, generator, manifestor, projector, what is it that's going to give them the biggest, if there's one, maybe there's more, the biggest idea into who and who they are and how they would interact?
There's so much I want to say, because I think I have an interesting, different perspective on AI, and we can come back to that. But to answer your question, the place that I go is, if we kind of like zoom out, relax your eyes, not get so caught up in the numbers and the symbols, what comes out are the centers, which are essentially the chakras. Now in human design, we have 9 chakras, so to speak, 9 centers, because the philosophy is that we have evolved as humans from the 7-centered traditional chakra system. Our heart's split into 2, having 2 different sort of capacities, as well as the solar plexus splitting into 2. I'm not going to get so much into that, but all that to say is you're going to see 9 different shapes Okay. Some are going to be colored in and some are going to not be colored in. If you're a reflector, nothing will be colored in. If you are a unicorn, you might have every single one colored in. Okay. But looking at that is going to sort of give you a sense of your natural rhythm. And then in particular, the diamond in the center is called the G center. And here's what I think is really interesting. There was a talk, Elizabeth Gilbert gave a talk many years ago for Oprah, and it's called like Jackhammers and Hummingbirds. And the essence of that talk is there are two types of people in the world, the jackhammers and the hummingbirds. And the jackhammers come in and they know what they want to do. She calls herself a jackhammer. I wanted to be a writer from a little girl. I'm going to be a writer. Let me work. And everything I do is going to reach me to this goal. They're also the loudest ones saying, just do what you love to do and follow your dream, right? And like, be who you are, like be yourself. And then there's the hummingbirds who are kind of coming into this world and they're like, oh my gosh, this flower is so pretty. Oh, did you smell that one? Let me go over here. And then let me go see this one. And we need both kinds of people because we need the people who are on their focused path with that sort of inner knowing that they're here for a purpose and that's their one purpose. We also need the hummingbirds to pollinate, right? Because when they come and they pollinate one flower, they're pollinating it for other people, right? For the jackhammers and the other hummingbirds. And then they're going on to the next and then to the next. And when I look at the chart, I always think of that with the G center, which is this diamond in the middle. When you have that defined, colored in, you have more of that sense. It doesn't mean you're going to follow one path always in your life, but you have this more connected sense to who you are and the direction that you want to go. And you have, I feel like you can kind of lean into the permission, like we were talking about, of go this direction or whatever direction feels right for you, follow that and know that that is correct. Like anchor into that piece. And if you have it undefined, like myself, it's this permission that you don't have to stick with one thing, that you can evolve, that nothing is permanent or set in stone, that this can be your evolution in this moment. And then we can find the next flower and move on. And I find if we're just kind of like, what's the one thing, coming to this G center of like, how do you feel about your own identity? I mean, there's so much nuance in the chart that we can look at a lot of different things and gain a ton of wisdom, but just knowing, oh my gosh, it's okay that I don't know who I am, that I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, that I just know that this one thing is like the thing now, or these 5 things are the thing now, and then maybe I'll be a completely different person. That's why I stopped rebranding, by the way, because I do it way too often. Versus, and other people to say, yes, I do know the direction. And I don't have to listen to other people saying, well, this is the way you make money doing that, or this is the way it needs to be expressed. So maybe I don't know if that feels helpful. What thoughts do you have when I share about that?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think, again, the permission, right? The permission to say, oh yeah, that's me. And that makes sense that I can enjoy 5 different things and not have to worry about this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
I think that's a good direction to send people in.
Yeah. Speaking of direction, right? To define G center like you have. Yes, that's a good direction. Yeah. I'm like, that's a direction. I don't know. Is what I'm feeling from you today.
That's a good one. That's the one I wanted.
This seems like a good one in this moment.
Man.
And then if you want, we can circle back to AI.
Yeah,
I think it's such a relevant topic. And I think it's so interesting. I am shocked that you probably don't know this about me. And because it's new, and I'm shocked at myself that I actually created a GPT. Nice. And it's called Soul Voice GPT. And this may bump up against your values, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm not offended by any means. And I don't think that you think that I would be, and vice versa. I think we're all good. But here's the thing about AI. It is a tool, and I think people are misusing it widely. And they're misusing it in the sense that they are seeking answers and solutions to their problems through AI. The reality is that AI is a reflection of our consciousness, our collective consciousness. And then when you start working with it, your own personal consciousness. And if we are out of alignment in general, as you use your AI tools, it will begin to skew your reflection, to distort it. And what you get back is not an accurate representation. We're also, if we're not mindful about the way that we're using AI, collectively, we are training it inappropriately. So I think the approach that I take is we have to sort of take this bigger, high level view of what do we want AI to be and if we are knowing and in our knowing that it is a reflection of human consciousness, what do we want that reflection to say about us as a humanity, first and foremost? And then come to AI with that energy that we want, rather than I'm just going to use and abuse you. I'm going to take advantage, right? I'm going to use it at whatever cost to the environment, at whatever cost to my personal brand or to my creativity, right? So I think that step one is like, we have to come to it in this more mindful, centered, grounded place from this perspective. Then I created a GPT that is human design informed, because how could I not? Because here's what is happening. I in my own business wanted to use it. It didn't feel like it could ever reflect me. So at this point in time, chat is not accurately interpreting charts. So you can't plug in your chart. So what I did was started teaching it the way that I interpret charts for business specifically, and putting in those elements, and then starting to sort of like, somebody was using the analogy yesterday of like a soundboard, like you would have for movies or music, right? Like dialing up and dialing down the different energies and really kind of putting it in there and allowing it to take what it does know, because it can pull information fairly accurately about some of the nuances, but you have to teach it what those nuances are. So I started creating copy, and then holy heck, it just got really good. Now I have guidelines around this, because I create AI supported content. I do not put out AI created content. Does that make sense? The distinction. And I think it's really important that we don't put out AI created content, but rather use AI supported content. So this is just for content, and not necessarily for assistance in my business. But anyway, all that to say is I was shocked that I even went this far, but it started working so well. Then I would take my clients and I'd plug in their specific aspects, and then I'd get copy for them. And they're like, what? This is amazing. So anyway, I have a GPT, which it feels so interesting, because I had never thought gate one, like this creative expression, be yourself. There's no one that's more be yourself than me. And how can you be yourself if this is not a human tool and it's not you? However, if we come in with the right energy and the right perspective and use the tool in the right way, then we train it on our specific energies to really, truly reflect back the things that we want to have reflected back in our business. Then I think it's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But what you were saying, people just kind of plugging it in and using it to shortcut, doesn't work.
Right. Or the cookie cutter prompts that everybody uses. And it's the same when you switch up your business. And it's like, but it says the same thing.
Yeah. So and this is, and like I said, I don't think you even knew about that. This is brand new. My Soul Voice GPT is brand new. And I just finished my beta round with about 45 folks going through that and testing it, and we're refining it and tweaking it. But yesterday I actually just recorded an entire training about prompts, because and I think part of my hesitation coming to AI in the beginning was, well, you have to know how to prompt. Okay. But in my mind, that meant that some like tech bro speak, right? You had to ask it in a specific way. And what I found is the more I brought myself to it and just literally had conversations like I would a person, the better the outputs would be. And so again, it's taking this holistic approach. And so of course, in my training, that people get all of these support materials to understand how to actually work with AI in an energetically aligned, I think, mindful sort of way. This is the approach. But having these prompts of like, not just saying, I would like for you to create. I even just listened to a training from someone else yesterday, and she was talking about her prompt. Here's how you prompt and here's how you don't prompt. And it was so robotic. And so no surprise, the outputs were robotic, right?
Yep.
Versus coming in as yourself. But anyway, that's my stance on that. It's evolving. And also I do feel strongly that when we're having conversations around AI, we do need to bring into the fold the environmental impact that it has, and how can we find ways. And I don't have all the answers yet. I'm a projector. I like to think I have all the answers at some point. But this is another component of what I teach as well. When you're using it, how can we then be intentional about offsetting the energetic costs associated, Anyway, So that's again, another soapbox, but I feel very strongly about this because I think it is being misused in a lot of ways.
It is. It is definitely. I think the founder of ChatGPT answered a comment. If somebody asked, like, how much does it cost? Is it cost or water or something? I can't remember what it was exactly. I should look it up. But basically, like, how much does it cost for people to say please and thank you? And it was like billions upon billions of dollars just for those little words that people are saying. And he's like, yeah, but it's worth it. Is it? Because that leans into so much more, like the nuclear energy that it goes into it. Like it's taking a toll on the environment as well. Is as good as it is or can be, it's also, we got a little downside. Like we shouldn't be using it as much as we are using it. We still need to get a piece of paper and a pen and sit outside under a tree and let creativity flow. Like be who you are, and then use it as an assist.
Yeah, I like to say it's a megaphone. It's an amplifier, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it can't amplify if you're not coming to it with clear ideas. And and it's so interesting because of the please and thank you thing. It's funny because I do say that not at a cost, but because I feel so. One is that consciously, how do I want humanity to be reflected? But also, I am confident in my ability to prompt it in a way that's going to give me an output much sooner, right? That is like very quickly. I don't have to go back and ask 10 times to refine this and fix that. I mean, I do sometimes, but do you know what I mean? So it's like because if you're coming with the right energy, if you're coming with your creativity, if you're sort of organized and ready to go, it's not just like, hey, create this thing for me. Okay, no, that doesn't feel good. So let's do this other. I'm not using it for hours and hours because I get what I need in a short amount of time. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Yes. That's what people want to make ebooks. And they're like, here's my business. Tell me what I should do. And it's like, no, put your framework. You use your framework.
Yeah.
And then like have ideas. Like it's, it's everything's.
I know it's a big topic. Don't have all the answers. Don't have all the solutions.
I know.
But it's a tool and people are using it. And if people are going to use it, and if it's going to cost us something collectively as a humanity, I think we need to be shouting, like, here's how you use it in integrity. Here's how you use it with your values in a value-based way, and in an energetically aligned way, so that we're at least not using as much energy as we normally would. And then also being mindful about what are other ways that you can offset that, is if this is a tool that you choose to use in your business.
Right.
Which I totally support you if you don't. And I totally support you if you don't use social media as well.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a dream, wouldn't it?
I don't really use social media. So I do think it's a dream, but it's a possible dream. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm on social media. All over it.
Hey, whatever works, right? Everybody's a little bit different. And for me, it's not my thing. I mean, I'm on there for personal reasons, on one platform essentially, but I have a lot. I mean, this is another movement where I see a lot of business owners coming and saying, I don't feel good about being on social media for whatever reason. Can I even build my business without it? And the answer is yes, right? There are a lot of ways to do it. And primarily that's going to revolve around having really high quality content in places that can be SEO optimized. That's redundant, but we can optimize the search engine. And so there's a few ways that you can do that and not have to be on social media. And I think that feels good. And then sometimes it's just a perspective shift around what they feel like they have to do in order to get social media to work. So however you want to approach it. But I see a lot of people taking a break and finding other places. And we're seeing a lot of, print mailers and zines and just a lot of different places, off of these platforms, which I'm sure they'll figure out how to monetize as well at some point.
Of course. I found local networking and speaking at local networking groups to be one of my favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, not necessarily jumping on a Zoom call on somebody's Facebook group where like 3 people might not have their video on, but actually physically showing them to talk to a group of people and having conversations afterwards, I think has been one of my favorite ways to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And with you too.
Yeah. That. Cool. Okay. Anything, I'm trying to think.
Well, I know we came
Is
in
there
with the
any-
intention here of looking at your chart and kind of reading is if there's any curiosity that you have, and I know you're already well versed, but I'm happy to provide some insights. And I didn't mean to just jump in over you, but I didn't want to
No,
these.
it's perfectly fine. I was so my community like wants to know how to be more productive, more efficient, and all that other kind of stuff. And I always lead with, make sure your values are aligned with your goals, and then also make sure you're taking time for yourself, not just everybody else and everything else. But is there a specific line, a specific gate, a specific anything within someone's chart that would show them how they can either be more effective, be able to focus more, or be more in alignment with their goals and their values?
Yeah, there's a few places. So there are some places that I go. So the first thing that I am noticing is, are you a sacral or a non-sacral? Okay, because that's going to speak to your energetic output on any given day. Okay, so what does that mean? So if you are sacral, you're a generator or a manifesting generator. That means you have your sacral center defined. You have more consistent access to the energy needed for longer periods of output. So showing up and working. Now, here's the catch, okay? Burnout will suck all the gas out of your tank. So if you are a generator type and you are saying yes to things that you don't want to be doing, you got to cut it. We have to bring the burnout down before you can really fully access and leverage this life force energy that you have. So that's sort of the double-edged sword there, right? It's like you have all this energy, but then you have all this energy to do things that you don't want to do, but then that actually sucks more of your energy. And then you don't have any energy, but you're like, I'm a generator. I don't understand. So bring the burnout down. So that's one of the things I'm looking at. If you're a non-sacral, you're a manifestor, a projector, or a reflector. Now, reflectors are interesting because it's such a small portion of the population. I mean, we're talking like 1%. And reflectors, you don't have any defined centers. So you're really sort of environmentally dependent. And when I say environment, I mean your physical environment, the people that you're around, and also you're a lunar being. So you're connected to the moon cycles. So that's going to be influencing you as well. So your energy is going to surge or dip, and you just have to sort of be in touch with it and go with the flow, which is uncomfortable, but also awesome. I think for the reflectors that I know, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. If you're a manifestor, you don't have that sustained sacral energy for consistent output, but you do operate in more of these sort of cycles. I would say a lot of times are likened to seasonality. And I think that that's a good way to look at it. So you'll get this big inspiration and you'll do this big push, and you might find yourself working really long hours and putting a lot into it for a period of time. And that might be a couple of weeks. It might be a week. It could be a few days. It could be a few months. Everyone's a little bit different. I know a lot of manifestors and their cycles operate differently. But then you're going to hit a certain point where it needs to be handed off. You're not doing the full execution. In some way, it has to be handed off. And so that might mean that you hire someone to delegate to you, or it might mean that sort of you've created like a movement or a community, and then you don't have to like force the conversations in the community. It's like it starts to take on a life of its own, and they're having conversations, right? You're not having to facilitate it as much, so that you can go into your rest cycle. And then once you're rested, then you get the next idea or the next evolution or next iteration. And that's different than a projector who needs that rest every single day. So projectors, maximum 3 to 4 hours of output, because your aura is actually holding space for and healing the collective global vibration, right? Like you're holding space for that and healing people all the time. So you need rest every single day. So it's not like, oh, you can push through like a manifestor would or show up like a generator would. You have to have that built-in rest on a daily basis. And rest doesn't mean naps. For some, it does. For other people, movement can actually be restful, right? It's just being in nature can be restful. For me, I love playing sand volleyball, and it is a huge energy expenditure. However, it feels restful in a specific way because it's play, right? It's that element of play, like you were talking about having a group around play. I'm like, how projector of you, because it's play and rest. My output, right? I might max out on client sessions at about 3 hours for a day, but I'm still ideating. I'm still creating. I'm still healing and holding space. And that's a very projector thing to do. And then we go to bed before we're tired and we have a good night's sleep, hopefully. And then you wake up and it starts over again. So when you're in a real creative spurt, you might find maybe there's a few days or a week, maybe even where you're just like, oh, go, go, go. I can get a lot done. I remember my husband was traveling and I got the kids to bed like early every night. And I was like, I just working for 2 weeks, right? But then the next 2 weeks, it was a lot of rest. So you get these creative spurts sometimes, but those are less consistent usually. So that's one thing that we're looking. There's so many that I could go into. Another thing that I think is really valuable to share is looking at your conscious Venus. And that one is a really interesting one to look at because it looks like the feminine sign, the circle with the cross underneath. And that's on the black side typically, but it would be the right side of your chart if you're looking at it, and the gate there. And that can be really interesting because that is an energy that magnetizes your clients to you. So the more that you don't want to ever like over strengthen a muscle, right? You don't want to lean too much into it because we're taking in the whole of you, but it's an energy that when you're marketing, if you want to market more effectively, we want to lean into that energy so that you feel, or your clients are feeling the thing that is most going to gravitate them to you.
What does mine say?
I'm looking. So it's so funny because the traditional magnanimity, I can never say that word. And I was like, I need another word. Let me go to my notes and get another word for that. Generosity, I suppose is it, but it's like, I didn't want to say that word. So yours is gate 54, which is the gate of ambition. Right. So it's like the energy of like, ooh, what is this sort of big vision that you hold? But also for your clients, it's like, how can you, when you're speaking to, and you have it with line 5, which is the expression of sort of that teacher. And again, making it really practical of like, here are the practical things that you can do to achieve the thing that you want to achieve, right? I'm not surprised as we're looking at this, that's it. But when we're really talking about the practical ways that you guide people to realizing their big dreams, their big ambitions, like their goals, but in this is more of a like structured way rather than just like the fantasy of, here's my daydream. It's more in a structured, like this part of the business channel, like very sort of business focused, step-by-step kind of way. People are going to be like, yes, that's what I need. That's what I need. I'm looking, there's like so much here too, because then we can go to vocation, which is your unconscious Mars, and you have gate 5, which is the gate of rhythm of like, how do we have this in more of a fix? Like, how do you create those habits and stay consistent to those habits, which is so interesting because consistency is something that people time and time again have a skewed definition of because it is unique to the individual. Yeah. What is consistent for you, right? What is your rhythm? But helping people find their rhythm, right, is part of your vocation. Like you're a theme for the work that you're meant to put out into the world. So when we bring that element in and we're looking at, okay, your Venus of ambition, right? It's so not a surprise at all to me that you teach business, of course.
Right. Yeah. And that's all very validating because those are all things that I do. I make sure that like when we're teaching people how to, with neuroplasticity and how we can change the way we think and the things that we do and like these tiny, simple little movements and just telling yourself like, hey, I get to look at my phone for 10 minutes today and just scroll for nothing, telling yourself like that's a reward for doing X, Y, and Z. And then like trying to training your brain to bring in these other elements. So cool.
Yeah. I mean, you can't make it up. Really it's cool. All in there, right?
Yeah.
It's all in there. I mean, I feel this way with astrology as well. And for the astrology minded too, we could go here. I could pull up your astrology chart as well.
That's right. We mentioned something before we started recording and you were like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I want to crawl into a hole and never come out. And you're like, that tracks.
Yes, that is something. Okay. So we can go back to that. Okay. And so then, I was looking at your astrology chart because sometimes we'll go there to pull other gates. So your midheaven is also something that I think in business is really important because your midheaven indicates your reputation, how your public persona, how people perceive you. You have it in gate 48, which is also placed in your Jupiter, which is really nice because that is also a gate associated with blessings and money. And it is the gate of depth, the going deep, right? This is not a jack of all trades energy. This is this is my focus. This is my niche. This is what I do. We go deep into these specific things versus keeping it more broad. And that is so interesting. Oh, you have it also in your Saturn. So it's like the blessing and the curse, huh? Going deep. Yeah, the blessing. Yeah. Like, where do we stop? Saturn brings us our big lesson. So anyway, that's really interesting to think about. People are coming to you when, they're attracted by this energy of ambition. And here are my ambitions. And she's going to help me realize in a very practical way how I can realize those ambitions. But then we're going to go deep in these specific areas, right? For you, it might be a personal challenge of like, how do I work with this energy of going so deep? Is it too intense? Is it too much for people? Are they, yeah. Yep. Right. Especially someone you mentioned early on, having a defined throat center and growing up and it's children to be seen and not heard. Having a defined throat center, having a defined G center, having a defined emotional center, it was probably like, you're too much. Stop being too much. This is too much.
I always tell people, tell me if this is too much. So it's like, tell me if this is too much, but I'll keep going.
Yeah. Well, then you have the one line, right? So 5-1, and then the multiple placements with gate of depth, you're going to go deep, but also trusting and knowing like this is a lot. This is recorded for that reason, right? I'm going to say it again because I know it's a lot, but you really need to hear this, and trusting like the deeper pieces of that is where the revolution, where the transformation happens. Right? Not at the surface level for you or your people. For other people, you might find like we have the opposite of that energy, which is gate 16. So people that have that, it's like they might be a little more jack of all trades. They might be a Manny-gen. So they're truly a jack of all trades, right? That energy might be so correct for you. And that's the beauty of this system, to look at it and see, right? Where are these gifts? And then to go back to what we talked about in the very beginning before we hit record too, is like, then we have transits. So where are we in our life? I have people come to me and they're in the middle of bless their souls, they're in the middle of their Saturn return, their first one, and it's like, if we think about that, is a tough, not for everyone. Some people, it's just like a really beautiful expression. But it can often be a very challenging time. You are in, I don't like to call it midlife. Some people call it midlife. It's Uranus opposition. You're on the tail end. But this is a big shift. So we see this in the chart as you're moving. It's like, it has to do with the nodes. And so it's like you're wearing glasses and you see, well, you are wearing glasses, but you see the world through this lens, the themes of these particular gates. And when we get around age 42 to 44, we have our Uranus opposition. My dog's real worked up about this. I don't know if you can hear him. So he's like, yeah, you need to know this. We move from one theme, the South Node theme, to the North Node theme. And so you have about 6 months. We're about a year in and a year out on this kind of a transition or transit. And so for you, you're moving from the energy of gate 19, which is deeply sensitive. Do not criticize a gate 19. Yeah. This is like the whole first 40 some years of your life of just and you have the whole channel. So you maybe know how to work with that energy, but it's that being deeply sensitive about yourself, but also other people, right? And what they need. And so it's a really lovely energy. And you're transitioning from sort of seeing the whole world through this lens of sensitivity to seeing the whole world through the lens of the energy of retreat, of privacy, right? Of shifting from, well, what do I need to really have out there in the world to, how do I want to curate this a little bit more? How do I want to protect? And what I see in business is that might literally translate into, and I don't know the answer to this, into retreats, hosting retreats. I see that oftentimes of like, now I want to take people into this sacred container in this period of time where we can get away from everything and be in that space.
I held my first retreat in October.
And sometimes when I'm doing these podcast interviews where we're going to look at the host chart, I don't research or go too much in. I'll listen to episodes, of course, so I'm familiar, but I don't want to know too much because I want it to be like, of course it's there. And I'm not just saying that because I know that about you. Yeah. It's literally in your chart. And yours is in gate 4, which is the gate of networking, who you know. Right. And it's quality over quantity and who you know.
Wow. That translates into like real life as well. Because my husband and I, we're in a new house. We hate it here. We're like, let's just move to Tennessee and get like 50 acres and have like alpacas and chickens and, just have our little space and be in like a retreat area for just ourselves and our family. So,
oh my gosh. Make it a bunch of rescue animals and I'm there. I'll be at every retreat. Just
could you imagine? Just have like a little section on the side for the rescue
everyone
animals.
gets a little pig to hold while they're doing their healing, or a horse. Yeah.
Have a good time, guys. Pet the alpacas.
Yeah. I love that so much. I'm there.
Oh, that's awesome. I absolutely love human design, astrology. I mean, when you put it all together, it's really like, it's your design. It's your guide. It's what you need to be able to kind of lean into who you are and grow and be successful, not just in business, but like as a human being, as your sole purpose here on life, on earth, right? In life, on earth, throughout life, whichever timeline you decide to be on at the moment. But yeah, I love it. And I love that you were incorporating it intentionally in with your clients, and that GPT sounds really cool.
We'll set you up.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me where anybody can find you. I know you gave me some links, but talk to me about anything you want to talk about, anything you want to share, what's coming up, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you for the space to do that. I'm not really on social too much. I do have a presence, but come to my website, brynbrown.com. It's probably the best way to get started. I have some new stuff coming out very soon. I will be releasing in the near future just a free guide on prompting and how to kind of come to AI in a more mindful and holistic kind of way. I do have a free training on there as well. It's a masterclass all about energetic mastery for business. So how we're blending not just human design, but universal principles and bringing that to proven strategy, shifting the energy around money. So that's a really interesting class. You'll get a lot out of it just watching the class. And then there's an invitation at the end to join me inside my group program, which is called Business Alchemy. So you can learn more about that there. I'm not going to harp on it here, but it's a really lovely collection of humans. So if that sounds intriguing, if you're interested in sort of working with energy, stepping more fully into your essence, your natural expression of yourself. I mean, human design is, honestly, I believe it to be the shortcut. Not that it's short, not that it's always easy, but the best shortcut you're going to find without spiritual bypassing, I would say. And so go that route. But yeah, grab the free training. It's brynbrown.com. You can click the link there. You can check out Soul Voice if you're interested in that GPT. That's brynbrown.com/Soul Voice GPT. So I try to make it easy there. We'll probably drop links, but yeah, I think that's it. Kind of get on my list. I think that's the best way to just kind of get into my world, get on my email list, see what I'm all about. And if it vibes with you, stick around. And if not, hit unsubscribe. All good. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for all of your insights, all of, everything that we talked about. I know if anybody pulls their chart, they'll be able to pull something meaningful from it to kind of help guide them in a certain way. And guys, if you want to look any deeper into it, seriously, like check out our website, get in that free masterclass. Human design has been the difference for me in my life and my business. So 100% get on it.
Totally agree. You don't want to build a business you hate and then burn it all down, because I've been there, and it sucks when you're making good money and you're like, this is so unaligned. So, and you can grab a free chart on my website too. So
awesome.
Come see me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I love you so much. I'm so glad we're in each other's circle now.